All right, here are my favorites from August 2nd through August 8th. This was a super good week as far as seeing things that I had never seen before, and we're going to jump right in. Pretty cool stuff. So we're going to start out with this Coco Booby. I've seen these before, but I'd never really gotten close past like this to where you can see the finite detail in the feathers, particularly along its neck and flank. So I really thought that was kind of a cool look. This one you can kind of see when we zoom it in, just what I'm talking about, kind of that really tight, plumage. I don't know why that word was not coming to me today. Anyway, all through here, which makes a lot of sense for a pelagic bird, I suppose. You want to try to minimize having a bunch of stuff that is extraneous and going to get super wet and heavy, I guess. But I thought that was a cool look. But on to the I guess while we're here, I really haven't been able to see the details on the beak. I'll have to do some research, but I'm assuming that this right here has something to do with secreting salt based on the shearwaters. Have it more on the nose or on the tip of the beak. I'm guessing that's what this is, but I could be totally wrong, so don't go on Jeopardy and say I said, because I haven't even Wikipedia'd it this week. But here's the real story of this week. We came across a pair of blue whales racing offshore, and by racing I mean they were actually porpoising up out of the water, in line sequentially for 45 minutes. These covered 10 miles. There was two boats. There was the boat I was on with Offshore Blue, and then there was Jess from Gone Whale Watching, who had found them. We were able to catch it. Privateer, one of the bigger boats, tried to catch up. They never really could pace these guys. They were doing a good 10-15 knots. It was for 45 minutes. It was just I've never seen anything like it. The splashes were monumental. These were both big blue whales, and as they moved, they were just throwing up this tremendous amount of water. You can see here the rostrums coming out of the water. Good look at the splash guard. I really can't over articulate. These were big whales. They're easily kind of in that 300,000 pound range. Just absolutely moving. And the one behind it, which is the one that I was shooting off of mainly because it was closer to where we were able to get, it would come up in the fluke print, or within maybe 50, 100 feet of the fluke print of the one before, every time. So I don't know if there was, as they're cutting through the water, maybe it's drafting and that's just the easiest place. I don't know if they were playing and they were just sequentially, but they weren't necessarily super close to each other, but I guess when you're 90 feet long, maybe close is relative. But yeah, it was just absolutely intense. I'll drop a quick little video on it. You can kind of see how it was happening fast. I didn't really spend a lot of time capturing iPhone video when I was trying to work with this. But yeah, so some more photos of this experience. You can see here, this is as the rostrum starts to come back into the water, and there's so much mass and there's so much speed. It's just creating this huge flush of water. And we'll take a look at, this is a shot from Privateer, from their marketing. They never quite got as close as we were able to, but they had a nice shot of these rhesos. We went through the pod of rhesos. We didn't slow down because we were with the blue whales, but they got to spend some time with them, so that was cool. There's these dolphins up here. But this was kind of the spray. I didn't really shoot this level of spray because by then the bulk of the animal was below, and that spray was kind of sucking up and going up. So it wasn't working for what I was trying to shoot, but you can get an idea. This is a bigger splash than any humpback breach I've seen. Just huge things of water. And so, I mean, imagine if you're not familiar with what you're seeing and you're just seeing this out on the water over and over, you know, splash. And there's two of them within pretty quick succession, splash, splash, and then a little bit more splash, splash. Like, it was absolutely so cool. So there's a couple more looks at it. I liked this one. The details of, you can see it exhaling. You can see the water that it's starting to displace, the rostrum breaking the surface. You know, you've got your horizon line. It was just really something cool. Neither myself or the two captains that I talked to that were out there had seen anything like this. Another captain that I talked to later in the week said she had seen something similar before. But yeah, it was just so cool. So biggest animal ever to live, two of them, full speed. Well, I don't know if full speed, but 10-15 knots. So, you know, shooting was kind of hard because usually the boats are stopped, and, you know, in that case we were going with them, so I was trying to do all these things with a long lens. But really cool experience. Here was a sea lion playing in the wake as we got back into the bay. There's a little house sparrow. This guy landed in front of me in La Jolla and just chirped and chirped and chirped, looking straight at me until I took its picture, and then it flew away. So I guess it wanted a photo of itself. A look at the size difference between this male sea lion and the female Heron here. These guys at some point will kind of start to not be around quite as much, but they're still here for pupping and breeding season. This one I found interesting. I could be wrong, and if you know about aerodynamics and I'm wrong, let me know. I'm always down to learn something. It's a quick sequence I put together out of 3 shots, but I think what you're seeing here is effectively the wings of this great blue heron stalling as it takes that angle of attack. You can see in this first one, all the feathers are down. As it starts to drop the back of its wings, you know, into the landing position, you can see these feathers starting to not have anything pushing them down, or maybe even a negative airflow pulling them up. And then as it gets even deeper into that stall, what I assume is a stall, you can see the feathers continuing to do it. So I thought it was kind of cool from an aerodynamic, what I think I'm seeing, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Here's a look at the end landing procedure of said great blue heron. I kind of got a kick out of it based on, you know, having its feet way out and kind of an interesting angle. Some terns. These guys were diving kind of right in front of me. I did dig having them this close to see some of this finite detail in their coloring, particularly around the eye. Something about brown pelicans when they're moving, I really enjoy, like, the details in their wings. And this one's is cleaning its wings, taking a bath, so they just create, they got giant strong wings, so they create a lot of water spray. Another look, not a great artistic photo by any stretch, but just a representation of how much wing they have. This is a very big wingspan bird. When they get close to you, it's really quite like, oh, okay. Makes a lot of sense why they can glide so well, I guess. So this one falls in the category of like stuff I like to send to my friends and family, just as, hey, this is out there and this is something kind of interesting to look at. I'd never seen this guy before. This was a gray plover, and my understanding is that they're not super common around here, but yeah. And then I think they're on the vulnerable list. So kind of a little guy, and it's just sort of doing its thing. But I'm not good enough to know what it is when I'm out there. I just know, I haven't really seen one of these, so I snap a couple photos. and then go back and let my iPhone tell me, and then do the internet research and try to sound smart. Here's another look. I really liked this one as far as the details here along the forward edge of the head on this tern, and then along the eye. This shot, you know, artistically not anything super special by any stretch, but I liked that it told that story there. Here's I got out on another boat and we came across, there's been a bunch of fin whales in town, a lot of krill in the water. So just an idea of a fin whale in front of one of Gone Whale Watching's boats. I was actually out with Gone that day on another one of their boats. But this distance looks closer than it is between the whale and the boat based on lens compression. But I thought there's a couple shots that really illustrated the size of these fin whales. These fin whales are the second biggest animal to ever live, so it's pretty impressive. These ones were really interested in the boats, so just put them in neutral and stop. Let these guys do their thing. They were circling around eating, but they would come up to the boat and sort of check it out and then dive under it. And it's, you're not on the biggest boat in the world by any stretch, and these are really big animals. It's just a cool feeling. This guy was super close. It was almost so close that I hadn't switched the focus yet, so I was glad that it came out as in focus as it did. This is also the gray whale, or it's not gray whale. The fin whale is one of the few asymmetrical coloration animals. So it's got this lighter, whiter gray jaw on the right-hand side, and it's actually darker on the left-hand side. So it's kind of something unique. It's always nice when the light side gets next to you. So you see this side, it's kind of dark, but then you can see the light gray here. Yeah, that's just kind of the look on that. So, I like the water over it. Here was diving right by the boat. Super detailed look at the splash guard. Another shot, again, this distance, because of the way lenses work, this distance it's farther than it looks, so that they're not right on top of it. You can see their engines are actually off. There's not even any water coming out cooling. We were just sitting there and watching these whales do their thing. But there's a lot of whales still that you're not seeing here, because you can't see the splash guard. You can see the dorsal fin. It's got a bunch of dorsal ridge down to its flukes, and it's got a bunch of rostrum in front of the splash guard and the blowholes. They're big animals, and it's really cool to watch them. It's really cool when they want to come watch you, which is kind of unique for the water animals, versus if you were doing a lot of wildlife on land. Pair of the fin whales, they're ID'd by these dorsal fins, so these went to Happy Whale and to Marique Hotel, so hopefully they can learn something about where these guys go and what they do. I liked that shot. Look at the rostrum details. Another look at exhaling fin whale. Some of the details. You can see how much rostrum is in front of this blowhole, and then there's a ton of back before the dorsal fin. Went down to La Jolla, and it was a little bit of a slow morning, but I was standing on the railing chatting with another photographer I know, and we were eye level with this hummingbird who decided to feed in the tree right by us. So snapped a couple shots that I liked actually of it. Both of these are interesting to me because the near parallel lines between the beak and these branches. The other one with its head down, I think, is more parallel, truly parallel. But this one, you can see these red details. So I think this one overall I liked a little better. And then with the cliff in the background as my studio effect, here it is. getting some breakfast. I liked this shot. I liked actually all three of the shots of the hummingbirds. Some high contrasty, moody brown pelican landing. I went down in the evening to La Jolla and just trying to work with the sun in a little different angle. I like these guys. I really liked the ones that highlighted the rocks. You know, it's the light. I guess I don't often get to see this illuminated. Well, I guess I would, because I usually see the sun coming from the other way. But anyway, I liked this shot. It just kind of had a nice look about it. You know, I like the details on its feet. You can see it's kind of gripping onto this rock right here and stretching the webbing here. Here, this webbing hasn't grabbed yet. It was literally just landing. This guy is my spirit animal of the week. This night heron was getting along fine with everything, and then all of a sudden decided it wasn't, and just puffed up its back, got its feathers out, and started chasing everything around. So seagulls, cormorants. At one point, a sea lion kind of came through, and this guy got puffed up. He was going to lose that one, but he ran around until he had about a 10 by 10 area all to himself. I just found it hilarious. Sorry, my nose is super itchy today. It's hot in my office, I guess. Here's a look at one of Offshore Blues boats. This is their rib, Captain Jenny. And, you know, some dolphins doing the show for her and her clients. I liked this one. Sent it over to them. I don't know if they'll use it for anything, but I got a kick out of it. Detail of a common dolphin leaping out of the water. Came across a huge pod of these guys, like easily 1,000 of them on this day. I was out with San Diego Whale Watch on privateer, so it's a little bigger boat, a little different angle. And then a few shots from yesterday morning in La Jolla. This one's kind of more sophisticated than maybe first look at it. What I liked about it, you've got the cormorant and the sea lion here both facing to the right, and then if you sort of drew a line between where they're looking, it's kind of, you know, triangles out off of the image in the corner. And then you've got the closer sea lion and this cormorant behind it also sort of looking in a similar direction, the opposite way, and it would kind of make a diamond between the two of them. So I think that's why I find this more interesting than I should, is that shaping those lines that, you know, they always talk to you about in art class that maybe never made sense. But this shot, to me, honestly, I hate to say it, but I shouldn't find it as interesting as I do, and that's the only thing that I can come up with of why I do, is it's got opposing, similar triangle intersecting lines concept, I guess. Jumping out of a wave. This was actually one of the things that got me into wildlife. This one I dug. Basically, when they sit where the waves come through, the waves will wash the sand off. And so, you know, anybody who's ever been to a beach, when you see something sitting completely in fresh sand, it's not something you get all the time. So I find it relaxing. And then the where the actual water was, creating that sheen with the light, kind of leaned into the shape of the sea lion. I think this sea lion might have just molted as well, because it's got a little bit of that silvery gray to it. But then when I look back here, it's much more the color you would expect. So I'm not sure if that's just maybe the light refracting off of clouds or something, because the light really only hit for a couple minutes on this particular morning. So that's been sort of the game lately, is try to get down there in that short little window and make that happen. Here they are flushing themselves out. This wasn't, no human was involved in this. They just sort of all decided they wanted to go at the same time. and you can kind of get an idea of the level of mass and energy that's coming through here. You know, you can see them with their feet in the air and you know, hitting the waves and breaking that water. This, when people cause this, it's really dangerous because the little guys might not get out of the way, and there's all sorts of you know, drama. You don't want to be part of anything that's changing an animal's behavior. So if they're all lined up resting, let them rest. Don't mess with them. And I think this one wraps it up for the week. But this is a little guy. After the big flush of them had gone out, he swam back in and was running up along the rocks, either looking for mom or looking for a little buddy to play with while mom's out hunting and doing mom things. But I liked this shot in terms of the tracks are basically only his, and then the seagull here, all the you know, unblemished sand. You've got the whitewash. You've also got the, you know, the reflecting water, the super long shadows because it was early in the day. You know, even though there's not a lot of details of the face here, I just found that this image was really relaxing to me. Hopefully you enjoyed this week. I know I did. Learned a lot, saw a lot of cool stuff. If you're on my website, go ahead and scroll down. You'll see all the settings for all of the images that I post, and you might see a note here or there. Also this week I posted a video that goes through my basic workflow in Lightroom and Photoshop. So if you're a photographer and you're interested, check out. It's posted on the blogs too. But if you're on a video hosting site, I do link to my site. I invite you to jump over to my site, check out all of these different weekly videos and blogs, and yeah, take a look around. If you want to print, or if you need some image licensing, or details on our book that's going to be eventually coming out when my wife and I have some free time to work on it, yeah, that's all on my website. So look forward to doing this again next week. Thank you for the watch. Check you soon.